welcome back. I know it's been a minute, but I'm here to try out this new mod. I've been trying to take care of some stuff. I know it's been a while, but anyways, I came across this mod. I'm gonna still go back to Millennium Dawn and do all that, but I do want to try this out too because I know this is the beta version. However, this seems like it's set in what is it? I guess the 30s. So you see all these imperial powers: Germany, France, Russia, Empire Japan. I know some people have done Germany and Empire Japan, but I haven't seen a United Kingdom or a Russian Empire playthrough just yet. But let's see. All right, so here we are. Welcome to the Age of Imperialism mod. So there's a dev announcement. It says, "Welcome to the Age of Imperialism mod, telling a story about a world where the Great War did not take place. Many problems were solved in much less bloody way, and the world itself seems to be more stable. The question is, for how long?" We invite you to our Discord. You can find a link in the description in the Steam workshop, where you can share your opinion about our work to inform us. Maybe express desire to join the team to help develop this project. I would thank you on behalf of the entire development team for playing our mod. We hope that your impression of the game will be as good as possible. I hope so too. So yeah, we're playing as Russia. It seems like we've got some puppet states too, with Poland, Finland, the Baltic states, part of Turkey, Persia, I'm assuming. Let's see. Yeah, so pretty much Turkey. It looks to be Kazakhstan. We also got access into Persia. What else? This area, part of what is nowadays modern China, Mongolia. So yeah, we have a vast empire pretty much. I guess the Ottomans didn't survive. Let's see. We have currently 1.2 million in the army, 20,000 in the air force, 128,000 in the navy. But let's go to our focus tree and see what we can slice as a national focus. So we got the World Exhibition of 1931. I'm just curious to see what other options are there. So you can expand the Trans-Siberian Railway. There's Kyrgyzstan, the construction district. You can industrialize, which that will be important and key. A Colossus on legs. Let's see. Oh, you can reform the Russian army. War and peace issues. You can reform the Russian army. You get, seems like some stuff for that. Aviation branch. Oh, they have a nuclear war concept. Difficult issue of the Russian fleet. So I might do a parallel one. I'm kind of also curious to see Germany too. But yeah, in their focus tree. And I guess there's one for like the Navy. But anyways, let's get on with it. We'll go for this. And what are we doing for production? We could increase this a little bit. Artillery, we have light tank. We'll do strategic bomber and fighter. Let's see. We don't need like 15 submarines, but we could just increase them. And we don't need the same duplicate. We could just consolidate that. Alright. Early cruiser hull, let's go ahead and consolidate that. Let's see. Oh, we have 108 light divisions. So we probably have the largest army by far, just because it's Russia. But let's see. $33 to $114. Okay. We have plenty of manpower. That's a good thing, as we should. Let's look at research. Support weapon. Yeah, research that. Legionaries. Whoa, I wonder what that is. There's definitely some interesting options. It changed it up a little bit compared to the other focus trees I've seen, but let's see. We'll go for that. Let's also go for some doctrine focus. Wonder which one we should choose. Superior. Oh, we already have the mass assault doctrine. Our minimal train level is like 10%. I guess we could go for it with a pocket defense. And we need an industrial one. So a soldier's uniform and basic machine tools. Actually, I'm gonna swap out. I'm gonna swap this one out. Yeah, we're definitely gonna need that. Insufficient resources. We need rubber. So, who has rubber? Dutch East Indies. Yeah, we'll trade for some factories. Also, we need some convoys. So yeah, we do need that. Let's go ahead and unpause it. So we have a bunch of units here. We could organize the army. Oh, got a description. Tsardom of Russia. Russia undoubtedly began the 20th century in a rather difficult situation, which included such events as the war with Japan or the Revolution of 1905. A large number of Russia's problems were also caused by Germany, which through its intelligence network supported national liberation movements in Russia. There was also a great uprising Muslims of 1916 in the wars with Austria and the Ottomans, and although all these problems put together a great challenge for Russia, it turned out to be possible to overcome them. After 1905, Russia entered a series of reforms which, although it did create uncomfortable compromise between the Tsar and the State Duma, which is like their representation or their Congress, something like that, allowed to calm the public mood. Losses in the war with Japan were in a way covered by the creation of Kyrgyzstan and Mongolia protectorates, as well as a result of intervention in the Chinese Civil War. The wars with Austria and the Ottomans turned out to be much simpler than expected. By 1918, Emperor Nicholas II had managed to win the title of Conqueror of Empires. The actions of German agents ultimately came to nothing as the result of reform aimed at increasing the autonomy of nations in the western border zone. The particular emphasis on Poles, Latvians, Estonians, and Finns In 1920, the general situation of the Russian Empire can be said to have returned to normal, and peace has returned. Unfortunately, not everything was so beautiful despite the efforts of Nicholas II. The Russian system within a few decades was even more plunged into corruption and nepotism. The clerical apparatus of the empire turns out to be inefficient at every step, and the Russian nobility forced to look for a new source of income. Practically fulfill their clerical positions in the empire, which is one of the main reasons for such a bad thing. The situation is therefore far from perfect, but even with these kinds of problems, Russia continues its path of progress, competing with the empires of Germany and Great Britain for world domination. The Third Rome continues, and it is the emperor's intention not to allow any need for the fourth to arise. Long live Tsar Nicholas II, ruler of all of Russia. So we got that. And we get a military pioneer. I do believe we need to organize our armies. Let's see. I just want to see their focus tree. Oh wow, Germany's more of a conquest tree too. You got one against a war goal against United Kingdom, one against France, one against Austria, one against Russia, one against Japan. I mean, theirs is interesting. Wow, you could really, I guess, colonize the whole world, it seems like. There's wealth politic and they're strengthening what we have. Alright, I was just curious about their focus tree and see what that was all about. But let's go ahead and create our army units. Alright, call to a crusade. When Emperor Nicholas II heard about what happened in Mexico, namely the activities of the Calais government, which openly began to persecute Christians and called himself God's personal enemy, he was terrified and quickly convened the meeting of the Russian government and army representatives to determine whether the Russian Empire was able to help those people in any way, and aid plans of various kinds were quickly established. Nicholas II appeared to be particularly shocked at the stance of the American and British governments of Calais activity, and they were willing to ignore their persecution in exchange for more favorable Mexican oil contracts. This led to a significant deterioration in relations between the Russian Empire and the Anglosphere. In the view of failure, the Washington Conference, it's clear that the Americans and the British are ready to support the disgraceful Mexican government by all means. Alright, what's going on over there? Let's see. Yeah. So Mexico's at a civil war. So yeah, we have a pretty large army in itself. And our navy, What are we looking like? We have, what is it? 4 battle cruisers, 12 battleships, 16 heavy cruisers, I guess 28 light cruisers, 120 destroyers. Wow, 40 submarines. That's crazy. Let's see. How many do the Germans have? Now let's check. 108 to 197. I bet you United Kingdom has the most. No way. Well, of course, that makes sense. They have possibly the most aircraft, the most ships. Yeah, that makes sense. Look at their manpower. So they're recruiting. And our manpower has gone up. Let's see, do we have any? We don't have supplies or equipment. The World Exposition, the theme Great Colonization. The World Exhibition titled Great Colonization has begun in St. Petersburg, covering topics of colonization and civilization of Siberia. Therefore, an especially built complex, large exhibitions have been erected presenting various riches of Siberia, such as valuable deposits of iron, ore, gold, or gems, but also all the above, all types of plants that can be cultivated there. The main aim of the exhibition is to show the great opportunities offered by the territory of Russia beyond the Urals, to encourage potential foreign investors to invest their money there. A secondary goal is the general promotion of Russian Empire in the international arena as a modern, wealthy country. Hence, St. Petersburg was chosen as the venue for the exhibition. We have waited a long time for this moment. So we racked up. I like the newspaper theme. I think that's great. How you have the newspaper itself and then the advertisements on the side. That makes sense. So we need to choose another national focus. So Russian stock exchange at its peak. Petersburg clamor, the great minds of the science world. Let's go for that. Oh, we got basic uniform done, so let's select another research focus. Ooh, Dracula premiere. So what else can we go for? Basic tires, engines, basic armor, basic vehicle camouflage, construction. Yep, let's go for that. Because we are behind, I'm sure, in some of these areas. So yeah, Persia isn't ours, although I mean, we could, I guess, technically go after them. Afghanistan is a kingdom, so Kingdom of Arabia. Corruption scandal in France. The Morning World spread word of the collapse of another French government, this time led by Pierre Laval. The reason for his resignation, as well as the entire council of ministers, are corruption charges related to the so-called Stavisky scandal, which led to a crisis in the insurance industry in France. According to reports from France, Laval's resignation would pave the way for becoming prime minister of the famous French left-wing politician Leon Blum. Whether this will happen and whether he will be successful, the prime minister is the only time. As the prime minister is only time to tell. I wonder how much military equipment Japan has. Let's see. What do they have? They're kind of in alliance with pretty much the British Empire. Let's see. 13 to 68 divisions, 196 to 2, almost 300 ships, around 517 and 204. That's the estimate. So, but they got plenty of manpower. So what does the British own? Oh, they own part of the Dutch East Indies, the colonies in Africa and South America. Everything else is pretty much a puppet. Yeah, for the most part. They're just protectorates. I'm surprised we're having issues recruiting. Okay, so we do have something. That doesn't make any sense. So we're lacking equipment, but I thought we had equipment. What are we lacking equipment in? Okay, so there's infantry equipment 1 and then basic infantry equipment. That's what we need. Warrior by the sun. Recently, the situation in Russia has stabilized after quite a turbulent period of the Industrial Revolution, which is undoubtedly good news for us, for all of Russia. Unfortunately, this does not mean the end of problems, because the issues of corruption scandals related to the nobles community continue to plague Tsar Nicholas II, who, in the face of temporary break from major problems, decided to organize a great hunt in the next month, on which he intends to invite his most trusted friends and advisors to discuss together the problems of Russia during breaks from entertainment. Very interesting. So we need basic infantry equipment. Let's see, do we even have that? They only give us... That's weird. Yeah, we have infantry equipment, but we don't have basic infantry equipment. I don't get that. Let's see, can we make that change? Cancel these. Okay, there we go. So obviously we need to build up our stuff, and then we have to hold off on recruitment. We can't recruit right away, but yeah. American National Anthem. Interesting news reached us today as the Star Spangled Banner was made the national anthem by a congressional resolution. We already got one of our research done, or a couple of them, all three. It was signed by the President of the United States of America. The song-inspired poem Defense of Fort McHenry now officially represents the United States of America at home and the international sphere. Other previous used songs such as Hail Columbia or America the Beautiful will thus be replaced. A hunting accent. The great hunt organized by Tsar Nicholas II was to serve as a cover for deliberations carried with the trusted officials and officers, but unfortunately fate decided otherwise. Named shortly after the start of the second hunt, Tsar Nicholas II, while galloping on his horse, had a coughing attack which forced him to stop and dismount from horse. When those present at the hunt gathered to check to see what happened, the czar's scarf was already covered in blood, which he had coughed out his lungs. To everyone's horror, it is clear now that the health of Nicholas II is worse than anyone anticipated, and no one knows how long he'll be able to lead Russia. Nobody can find out about it. Oh, great. We just got started, though. I see there's different parties. Oh, we have communism. Socialism, liberalism, conservatism, reactionism, integralism. Okay. Oh, you could do total war. Huh. Alright, so we got our focus tree done, and we need to do our research. But let's see, what can we do next for research? I see we had the fleet and bean doctrine. We'll put that as one of the things to research ahead. What else? Let's see. There's anti-tank 1, okay. We could go for that. Let's do support weapons. And infantry anti-tank. Alright, now let's go for focus. Yeah, we could go for great minds. Let's go for science, because we're going to need science on our side soon enough. I'm concerned primarily about the Germans and what the Japanese will do. It's not in Russia's favor to be in a two-front war position, but we'll see. I see Germany has their part of Africa too. But yeah, so apparently World War I didn't happen, and so here we are. I wonder if another world war could happen. I guess if you play as the Germans, that's the case. But it seems like playing as the Russians, I mean, you deal with national security issues. Oh, wow. French Prime Minister assassinated. When news spread a month ago about the fall of Val's government and that he would be replaced by Leon Blum, everyone seemed to be relatively optimistic about developments in France. All that changed this morning, however, when the news from France once again spread around the world, this time about the successful attempt on the life of Prime Minister Blum. The cause of this tragic event cannot be clearly identified, and the opinions experts are divided. Some point to the killer's anti-Semitism or Semitism. Leon Blum was of Jewish origin. Others emphasize the role of internal party disputes, and others point to external factors. Consequently, many condolences have been sent to France, and the process of selecting a new prime minister is already underway. So, this is already creating some. What are we at? 4% tension. So my leader's sick. France lost their head of state. Let's see. Gaston Demoray Demuge. I'm butchering that. I guess he's the current leadership. Hmm. Yeah, Germany seems to be the only one that wants to go out and just. It's a more military focused tree, I guess. At least we have some of our own allies, I guess, for the most part. Our puppet states. But they don't have a big army either. Unrest in Spain? How are we doing on resources? Let's get some more rubber. A Spanish Civil War. Let's see. Can we supply the other side? Endless intrigues. Rumors of the Tsar's return health seem to be a well-known fact today, and many powerful noble families have already begun to surround. The potential successor to Nicholas II. These being Zavarovich Alexei, but also his cousin George. Which seem to be in the special interest, as they are the first in line to inherit the throne. It's worth pointing out that Nicholas II's cousins seem to be among the favorites. A great deal of intrigue seemed to cover an even larger area each day. Although the Tsar Nicholas II still rules Russia, and according to official announcements of the court, his health is good, nothing can stop the intrigues. Let them be damned. Alright. The new president of France, Paul Doumer. The unfortunate phenomenon France experienced this year has led to the deterioration of the health of French President Gaston de Morague. I'm probably butchering that. Thus, presidential elections were called immediately during the National Assembly, elected a successful Paul Doumer. The situation in which this elderly politician finds himself is truly inevitable. Although, judging by his speech, he seems to be full of optimism. Can we do a Lend-Lease? Could. I'll hold off now and see how things go. Alright, so we got the science thing. So another focus, part of the focus tree we've got. Got construction. Go with that. Oh wow, this is part of Germany. That's interesting. That's very different from our original timeline where France had Indochina, not Germany. So, man. Germany just has a foothold in just about almost every continent on the face of the earth. Jesus. Like, all those are puppet states, but then, yeah. Alright, we need to do another research slot. Empire State Building's built, so we have that. This is in Austria, okay. So it says over the next few days we will see what we will see what strategy the government of Kaiser Karl I will adopt. It seems to be like a dark turn of events for Europe in general. Emotions in Europe were declining today. The German Chancellor sent an ultimatum to the French government in which he orders the Prime Minister of the Republic to pay next year's installment of war reparations next month. According to our experts, this was a shocking decision which violates the treaty's provisions between the Empire and the Republic, was probably motivated by the risk of economic crisis penetrating Germany from Austria due to the bankruptcy of many German enterprises that followed the collapse of the Crusade Bank, would mean that the German government is desperately looking for funds. And we're almost done with our focus. French veto. The tension in Europe continues to grow. At a press conference convened, the French Prime Minister announced that the ultimatum of the German government was a violation of international law. Thus, he emphasized the view of Germany's shameful behavior and saw no further goal in complying with the Versailles Treaty. It had publicly stated that just before the press conference began, the Republic's armed forces were ordered to seize demilitarized zones along the German border. He summed it up with words, "An end of an era should be ashamed." Alright, so seems like war is almost on the precipice. And we gotta select another focus tree. This one's fitting. Crisis takes toll in Germany. A very unfortunate coincidence led to the fact that, according to our journalists in the Empire, the economic crisis has already begun to settle in Germany for good. At the moment, we are already receiving information more and more. Too much going at once. So the Italian king is dead, but it says, at the moment, we are receiving information more and more about the closed factories and workers out of work. The current situation in Germany seems to be on the brink without the financial support and expect to get in Austria and France. The chances of stopping the escalation of the crisis are fading. Alright, so many world events happening at once. Wow. Given the chain of unfortunate events that took place last month, the consequences of which soon felt across the world, which is surprised by the fall of yet another French government led by Edouard Daladier. The reasons for the French Prime Minister's resignation this time, however, are quite specific and not related to the crisis in France, but to the brave decision taken by the French regarding the German ultimatum. As it turns out, the head of the French government is a pacifist, and he has been voted down. He would have prevented such courses of events in the way he announced would not be able to continue his rule, and he was submitting his resignation to the president. This act of cowardice, according to experts, could be dropped that fill the cup of bitterness. Fifth time's the charm. France is going through governments like water. Wow. I feel like this is getting ready to be like a build up to a world conflict on the European continent soon enough. Let's see who we can get for our government. Production efficiency, consumer good factories, research speed, stability, war support. Let's see, trade deal, factory output, plus 10%. We're gonna probably need that. Justify war goal time. Yeah, we're gonna need that construction speed. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go with that. And let's see. Aggressive attacker. Who should be our chief of staff? Infantry expert. Yeah, maybe need a logistic expert. I'll hold off on that. End of the Free City of Trieste. Following the Free City of Trieste, following the coup of Gabriel de Annunzio was undoubtedly expected to be very interesting. A particular reason for this was his actions managed to anger both Italy and Austria, two countries that have been at odds with each other for over a century. The surprise of a large group of experts, probably de Annunzio himself, the rulers of these countries managed to get along with each other in order to end the crisis, set new boundaries in their spheres of influence of the Adriatic In order to seal the event, Italian armed forces invaded Trieste and seized the city in the name of the annexation of the Kingdom of Italy. The fate of Gabriele de Nuzo remains unknown at this moment. So we're at 9% tension. Kaiser Karl continues his rule. The intriguing news comes again from Vienna, and according to whatever we heard our informants, the failed military coup against the power of Kaiser Karl took place there. The coup was led by a war veteran in the area and the Habsburg monarchy, H-man, who wanted to take power for himself in order to implement the National Socialist program aimed at rebuilding the power of the former Austria-Hungary. Now, however, with its punitive smashed by loyal voices, the Austrian army, another threat to Kaiser's rule, seemed to have passed. Meanwhile, all remain keenly interested in the fate of Trieste, which is currently being discussed in Rome with the new king of Italy, Umberto II. So that's interesting. The Royal Navy has gone bankrupt. Intriguing news comes from the British Isles about the panic of 1931, which seems to paralyze the economy from around the world. According to reports from our correspondents, the Royal Navy, the world's largest fleet, was the next victim to the economic meltdown. What will the future of the British Navy and whether Britain will continue to rule the seas of the world remain shrouded in a mystery. It's the end of the world. So, they don't have the money for that. Oh, we can go for expansionism? Oh, there's jingoism. Kaiser Wilhelm abdicates. Intriguing news comes today from Germany, which, after the rejection of the ultimatum by France, fell into economic and political crisis during the absence of Kaiser Wilhelm II, who went on a planned vacation to Norway. According to our observers, more and more in the last 2 weeks, Germany was experienced a terrible chaos, which was used by the Reichstag to make a successful attempt to seize power in the state. All this thanks to the cooperation of the German army. Dissatisfied with the Kaiser's rule to date, according to the latest information, Kaiser Wilhelm II was even forced to abdicate and hand over the power of his eldest son, Wilhelm, who agreed to fully cooperate with the German parliament, in which Adenauer was to take over. Time for a new Germany. Yeah, we have like outdated Air Force. We have a bunch of early fighters, I guess. Oh, Marshal Pétain seized power in France. It seems like France has gone full on militaristic at this point. In the view, the difficult first half year of the French Republic, combined with the absolute humiliation of the left-wing rule of the country, which was inevitable according to experts, has finally happened. Well, in line with yesterday's decision, the National Assembly and the consent of the President, Marshal Philippe Pétain assumed special powers to allow him to lead the country through this hour of trial without any restrictions. Distrust with a great authority in the hands of one man is something unheard of in France for a very long time, and testifies to both the size and crisis they are experiencing and the incredible social trust that the Marshal apparently enjoys. There is no military government this year yet, but there's about to be one. Let's see. I don't know if we have any options. Let's see for politics. Or political parties, I should say. find this focus tree interesting because you can go into Ethiopia and get a foothold in Africa. And I see they've got some stuff with Finland and some military reforms. I understand this is the beta, so this is like the testing phase. But this is still pretty cool. I definitely enjoy this. I recommend people check this out and support this. I know I'm just a small tiny YouTuber, but I really do recommend you check this out and support this team. Let's see. Panic 1931 enters Russia. And various court intrigues and rumors about the health of Nicholas II. News from abroad about the economic crash seemed to be little importance, that is, until recently, when it has become impossible to ignore them any further because the news of the collapse of the St. Petersburg Stock Exchange, one of the three largest stock exchanges in the world, passed through the whole country like an arrow. Many people now find themselves in despair as their years of work and efforts are now wasted. The crowds of disgruntled workers seem to flood the streets. The curse of jobs is in full swing. Alright. Lack of civilian factories. Right. We're not industrialized. We're in the negatives with rubber. A new foundation for global order. Interesting news has circulated around the world in recent weeks regarding the meetings of diplomats from Italy, France, and Austria. Rumors spread the possibility of an argument between these countries to counter the imperialist influence of the so-called Big Three: Great Britain, Germany, and Russia. This afternoon, these rumors come true from when, at a conference in Rome, the Tripartite Pact for the Joint Economic, Scientific, and Military Cooperation in the times to come was signed by the rulers of the three countries. Therefore, the opinions of experts remain strongly divided, and the news itself hit London, Berlin, and St. Petersburg like a thunderbolt. Alright, so now our great power status is now being challenged. Well, that's unfortunate. Says Abraham's sacrifice. Yesterday evening, George Milokovich, son of Grand Duke Michael Alexandrovich and Tsarevich Alexei, traveled together by car from St. Petersburg to Moscow to a party organized to celebrate George Milokovich's successful graduation. Unfortunately, on the way, they encountered a tragic accident. As a result, which their car fell off the road, collided with a tree. Tsarevich Alexei died instantly, while his cousin died this morning in the hospital due to heavy wounds. This horrible news seems to highlight in what horrible times we live in. The entire country is now in a state of mourning. Yep, so we got the war support, but disability is 18%. Our population's ready to go to war, but the stability is faltering big time. And it just seems like Europe's in a really dark place right now, unfortunately. So, and it's probably going to get even worse. And did Poland just break away? That's interesting. I wonder why they changed colors like that. They were originally like a greenish color. Let's see. It says they're still part of our faction. Hmm. That's interesting. So we got some research to do. Act of desperation. Nicholas II took extremely hard to his conscience the events of the last weeks, which, due to his drastically deteriorating health, made his life seem coming to an end. He devoted the last days to the search for a successor worthy of inheriting the Tsar's throne, who would be able to do what he could not do himself. Meanwhile, the court intrigues seemed to grow stronger despite the crisis, but with the death of the most obvious candidate, they now focus on the cousin of Tsar Nicholas II. The merry-go-round of the misfortunes spin more and more. Unexpected end of the World Exhibition. A thunderous panic in 1931 turned St. Petersburg from the center of the world attention, where crowds of the rich and famous people walked the streets, in connection with the World Exhibition, into a virtually extinct city. Investors, hearing about the threat awaiting their companies, disappeared in a panic rushed. The stars of the show business world left Russia soon after it became clear the fate of their shares of stock could be tragic. The complex built for the World Exhibition is now abandoned, and it remains a monument to the beautiful era that has just passed. And it's inauspiciously coincidence. And we lost PP, or political power. So, what can we do next? And we don't meet the requirements. That's weird. So we can't continue. I guess we have to let it play out a little bit and wait until Nicholas passes away, I guess. Finally got our event. The Tsar is dead. Long live the Tsar. Yesterday's night in the Winter Palace will be remembered for a long time, because it was then the Tsar Nicholas II died. He was surrounded by his closest family and friends until the very end, when the disease left a terrible mark on the Tsar, who, before his death, was no longer able to get up from his bed. There was, however, another person in the Winter Palace whose presence few expected, namely, it was Prince Iona Konstanovich, who had come to the palace a month earlier at the personal invitation of the emperor. In the fate of the crisis and intrigues, his presence escaped the attention of majority. It was he who was secretly chosen by Nicholas II as successor. The last words spoken by Nicholas II were, "Lord, save Russia and bring her peace." Ion Konstanovich. Okay. Alright, well, I'm going to end the video here. This is Ion Konstanovich, and I'm going to end the video here. And if you took the time to get to this point, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate support for all those who return to see this. Thank you very much. I know it's been a minute. I had to take some time off, recuperate, and let me know what you think. I also might do a Germany playthrough too, because I want to see what their tree is like or their experience is like. But it seems like Russia's more of like, I guess, industrializing, modernizing, all that kind of good stuff. But anyways, have a great week or weekend and enjoy.